course. Give me the hell a second time.
Well, Domains are in a very comfortable position with those 2 wins. If they win one more, they're guaranteed in the consoles.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big deal for Duel Mains here. They've been playing out of their minds. And should they find themselves in the console league, I don't think anybody's going to sit there and say it was a fluke or it was a mistake. These guys have definitely played well. They beat their fellow challenger team. They've beat one of the SCL teams. And now CAZ Esports up here, going to be the second. Zeus and Robin, the bans out for Duel Mains. They seem to be sticking to their guns on this one.
I like the fact that they banned Robin because the fact they pick healers in the mid lane. Robin's
Right.
one of these guys in the jungles you don't want to deal with. He's going to be diving your backline uncontested very freely, but picking up another guy that could dive the backline is Susanoo.
Yeah, Beast Feast has been, or Feast Beast.
Beast Feast
Beast Feast.
35.
my apologies. I you know, no disrespect intended. Because he has looked fantastic on kind of whoever he plays, but if you can give the man to Susanoo, you're going to give the man to Susanoo. CAZ Esports, however, Cabrakan and Medusa selected across the way. We'll see how those gods fare.
It's a nice little matchup here, especially if Cabrakan is in that support position. Cabrakan can easily set up Medusa for an easy petrify guaranteed target, whether it's the stun or whether it's the Cabrakan ultimate, because as you're running away from the Cabrakan ultimate, you have to turn your character back towards Medusa to wrap around that wall.
Kepri, Aphrodite, one more time, get there. You cannot kill my teammates combo together. Duel Mains really looking for protection. Susanoo can definitely be that hyper carry, though. We saw Thanatos the first time around. Thanatos versus Susanoo, what do you think is the more successful character for being that hyper carry?
I think Susanoo has more leeway in terms of flexibility. You don't have to commit all in because you have 2 forms of escapes between the jet stream and the 3rd strike of your Storm Kata, not to mention you have the knock-up from your ultimate.
Kepri and Afro, you're
That's
supposed
true.
to go all in, right?
That's true, but I think that Duel Mains didn't want to deal with the Susanoo more than they didn't want to deal with the Thanatos.
Huge point. Huge point. Susanoo definitely has a lot of crowd control options available to him. So CAZ Esports on the right-hand side, they have their selection. It'll be Jean Kui. And I actually really like this selection. So Kepri and Aphrodite, what they really excel at is stopping single, I don't want to say one-trick ponies, but Kraken men. That's what they're trying to protect against. Oh no, here comes the burst. Ult. Well, Jean Kui, his ultimate is sustained damage with the ghost coming out of the bag, and then he can exercise on a non-ultimate cooldown. So while Afro and Kepri are going to be able to help the teammates in times of need, how many times are they going to be in need? Because right now, Jean Kui brings a lot of that to the table, which I think is, you don't call it a counter, but it's a very useful tool against this composition.
Especially this Odin combined with the Jean Kui against Aphrodite and Kepri that both can't get out of that cage. It's gonna limit all the healing.
Yeah.
So you have that going for you. And to pair it up, Hades has been locked in with the Apollo for Duel Mains. A god that can't necessarily get out of the cage is Apollo with exception of his ultimate. So I'm curious to see when exactly Duel Mains is gonna pick up that Phantom.
I'd like to see Hades mid lane. Will that happen? Let's jump in and take a look. Duel Mains versus CAZ Esports coming at you live from Hi-Res Studios. It will be Arabiax on that mid lane Aphrodite. And if we hadn't seen the level of skill that Arabiax had brought out today, I would have said that this is a curious decision. I think that Hades can play that mage just as well as Arabiax. And if you stick Afro in the solo lane, she has some time to really like bake up in the oven, so to speak.
Well, definitely has a lot of tools in the mid game. Early game, the weakest point of Aphrodite, but that's why we see Bradley RJ picking up the Phantom to deal with the support
Nice
Odin
and early.
onto Mush, recognizing that it's the support Odin, not the solo lane Odin. So it has to be able to keep the mid laner alive in the early phases of the game to make sure that Arabiax does exactly what he's done in both the Hell and Aphrodite games.
And again, going back to this draft by CAZ, I think this is a very strong draft. One, anytime there's a healer, you kind of want to pick Odin. He just really shuts down healing very strongly. But go back to the Jean Kui selection. It's just, like I said, Arabiax's goal and Kepri's goal is to really, like I said, stop Kraken Man, right? Here comes a big Kraken. Here comes a big Ra ultimate. Here comes a big Thoth ultimate. Well, very different story for Jean Kui, who, sure, you might be able to use that Aphrodite ultimate while he's ulting, but the Afro ult will end, and the Ghost will still be coming out. He'll still have the exercise available for it, so I really like this selection.
We really haven't seen a lot of Apollo in both the console or the PC side of things. He's not one of those gods that can easily box in the earlier stages until he gets those items online. His clear is still relatively good, but a lot of these hunters is just slightly better, so you can't. And then whenever the Audacity is up, the passive of Apollo giving him those 6 extra in-hands at increased attack speed, the other hunters are just going to neglect you and not even bother boxing you.
Yeah, just don't fight when he's in a scary spot, so not going to be the choice there. In the enemy jungle is Duel mains, and they will successfully drop the speed up. Bradley will actually go back and pick that one up. So Speedy Capri coming out on the right-hand side.
I like the fact that Alexum went for Zhangqi because not only is he good for AoE damage to make it harder for Arabiax to find that one target that he really wants to heal, but he's also really tanky with this passive. He gets up to 40 protections as long as he gets a fully stacked bag of souls.
That's actually a really big point that you kind of mentioned lightly. The fact that there's a lot of AoE damage and Afro has to choose one.
That's right. So the Khepri and the Aphrodite have to do exactly what they did in the first game by making sure that they're on different targets between one person using the Scarab's Blessing and the other one using the Afro.
Uh-oh, trouble for the Beast Man. He will be the first blood here. OP USB taking him to business town on the solo side of things. I was actually just going to compliment the little Hades Susano combo, but Beast Feast did not play it the way I expected.
No, not at all. If you get to the lane a little bit late, you want to be able to just give up the lane presence, contesting that when the enemy's already there clearing the wave, because now they're going to turn on you. It's going to be about a 7 on 2, oh, I'm sorry, 8 on 2, the 6 minions and then the 2 gods against just you two clearing, and barely able to die there. A Beast Feast threw out the jet stream, but had to wait for it to fully finish traveling before able to teleport to it, which is why that first blood happened.
Well, it's also about the interaction between the Hades. So Devour Souls, Hades' third ability, where he does the damage, that's where he blows up the wave. It's actually going to heal your teammates around you as well. And one of the nice things that you have when you're fighting 2-on-2 with a Hades in a lane is that you can sort of bait your opponent into thinking that you're more vulnerable than you actually are. So you fight in the wave, which is a big no-no in Smite, but you fight in the wave anticipating the heal. What happened there was Stun Wave launched the Devour Souls, and Beast Feast fought after the heal came out, so he wasn't able to be brought back up. Stunwave and Beast Feast need to get on the same page and say, all right, I'm going to Devour Souls after you take some damage. We'll be able to hit the wave, hit the opponent, and hopefully hit the first blood. Because of that miscommunication, CAZ Esports first on the board.
And Hades received a little bit of love recently in the latest patches. Whenever he does use that Devourer of Souls in a 1v1 situation, that target will still be blighted and will apply the detonate damage and the heal for anyone around him. So makes him a little bit more useful outside of the laning phase. But left-hand side, picking up the red buff, Crisis Motion still looking for options as to what he wants to do against this Medusa. Playing relatively carefully, going for the Warrior tab. He hasn't committed to the Devourer's Gloves quite yet, or the Cabal.
Yeah, listen, Tully, I never dislike Apollo. Even in heavy push metas, which is where we're at right now. Crisis Motions on this Apollo, yes. Against Dobson's Medusa, he does not have the upper hand whatsoever. But at the end of the day, an Apollo will be able to split push and ult out. There are so many options. His Audacity passive allows him to box virtually anybody. The Mesmerize is a fantastic interrupt. I think that this character, especially once he reaches here, level 7, where he can clear the wave efficiently, this is a very scary character to have across the side when you're battling against him, especially if you don't know where he is.
I definitely agree with you, especially so beautiful going through walls, whereas a lot of these other hunter abilities don't have that same luxury. The only issue is it's so easy to see his fingers pointing at you. It's like, okay, his passive is up. I'm just gonna wait until that's over with. But nice little blink ultimate, gonna force out the ultimate, Petrify and Bird Bomb, dealing a good amount of damage. Now this isn't an official kill onto Crisis Motions, but the damage done by both Dobson and Mush has basically forced Motions to go back into base, missing out on a whole wave. So that's essentially half a kill, technically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point in the game, he's going to sit out for maybe 12 seconds. He res, if that long, he reses, he walks up the lane, he misses exactly what he misses in this scenario. So it's not a kill on the board. I feel you on that, but definitely Dobson and Mush have to feel a little bit happy about the play they made on the left side. Bradley RJ now, level 7 on the Khepri, trying to defend, and Motions comes back, missing a wave, but still here.
And with the pressure being brought out, Bradley RJ has to sit in the duel lane, helping out Crisis Motions, taking some important, valuable experience in gold that was just recently stripped away under that tower, so now having to share the next one puts him a little bit further behind Dobson.
Nice catch as Duran comes running towards Beast Feast, but Arabiak's able to find the stun.
No mana.
Yeah, he's no mana and he has no HP.
Birds.
Gets hit by the doves and the sword of the Beast Feast. That'll confirm it. 1 kill for Duel Mains in that exchange. There's a 3-on-2 as the support showed up as well. So overpowered USB trying to make the rotation, followed by stun wave, but realized he's there a little bit too late, so he'll just opt for the gremlins.
SMITE, like any other strategical game, is all about how you manage your resources. It's not just about your health, it's also all about your mana. And in that situation, Alexum, even if he was healthy, he had no mana to counteract any sort of physical engagement. But Duran getting pulled back into Petrified, trying to peel, but it's not enough.
Yeah, that pull is so strong, Toli. Beast Feast just takes somebody in a not terrible position, but not a good position, and puts him in a terrible position with that pull. Susano, 2-1-0 for Beast Feast, who I feel like we've been talking about Arabiax all day because he's playing Afro in Hell, but Beast Feast 35 has been out of his mind, just being a very strong jungler. This whole Duel Mains team, honestly, Toli, looking strong.
Absolutely, and this is why they first picked it in this game so far. They're just 1 win away from guaranteeing themselves a spot in the SCL. And Duel Mains, the Challenger Cup team, has been really impressive in my standards, at least in the picks and bans. And something that's going to be interesting to see if they do make it is how they're going to stack up against Elevate, another team from the console league that's very innovative in their picks and bans.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the innovation, because a lot of times, real talk, sometimes teams just pick weird stuff and you go, okay, sweet, you want off a gimmick. But like Taco mentioned in the last match, and I think you even mentioned it in game number 1, they build around these selections. The Khepri paired with the Afro or the Hell. Then you have the Hades even to come by and really help things out. More peel. The silence, the ultimate, it's all peel. They build around this selection. It's not just odd for odd's sake. They have a real thought process. There's a method to the madness, and I really enjoy watching that happen.
In the mid lane, barely able to go back. It's always a gamble whenever you just wait. Like, are you going to really stop me from backing here? Taking a lot of poke, though, caught in the cage. The jet stream wasn't available. Typhoon going to buy a little bit of time with the knockup, but not enough. The cage just lasting too long.
Very important play for CAZ Esports, and that's how they're going to stay in this game right now here. Leading by about the cost of a first blood. CAZ Esports have to be able to continuously make these plays because we know what Duel Mains is going to do. They're going to be successful when they have these situations. Can CAZ Esports fight back? Quantum couldn't, and that's why they got toppled. And I mean, we saw what happened last match with Team Enable. I mean, that was a 20-minute just brawl fest. Here, CAZ, this won't be over in 10 minutes. They're able to find these answer backs. They're going to isolate these players. As long as Afro's not there, Toli, you can get the kill.
Just trying to isolate that mid-utility mage. Now finishing off that Lotus Crown. Going to provide so much protections for the rest of her teammates. Working on the Gauntlet of Thieves yet again, Bradley RJ. This is that synergy between these two players, you know, both having a lot of protections. And that 40 protections, both physical and magical, once those doves come out of that linked target, it's going to be more difficult. And that's going to probably be primarily onto Beast Feast. The Susanoo already having 2 deaths, 100% of his team's deaths. But it's not the worst thing in the world when your jungler's the one with the deaths, because at least he's trying to go for the plays.
He's also the player with all of the kills on him as well. So he's dying. We know that's not what's happening because we just saw him get killed by an Odin, but theoretically he's dying for the kills that he's successfully getting, and those kills enable the other players on the team. You can see he has 2 kills, and yet there are 4 assists. As long as there are more people making money off of his kills, he's totally fine to trade it out.
Stormwave was thinking about diving into that tier 1 tower as he was making the rotation. A nice idea that he had by proxying between tier 1 and tier 2. This gives him enough of a leeway to rotate mid, wait for a play to happen. If it doesn't happen, that's fine, because I'm just going to do this again. Go back mid, rinse and repeat, and provide that 5-on-4 pressure. And same thing is going on the other side, overpowered USB proxying between that tier 1 and tier 2.
And Hades has a lot of tools to get him out of trouble should he actually wind up in trouble on that side. 1, he's going to be able to heal himself with the Devour Souls like we talked about, but 2, his dash also goes through walls. He can go underneath the wall, so he's very, very safe in an unsafe place. We'll see if he finds love. CAZ CAZ Esports on the left-hand side taking care of Gold Fury. Camry and Apollo are going to show up, but Gold already down to 40% HP. Beautiful cage, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you zone. Gold Fury goes to CAZ. Give him a round of applause.
Overpowered, though, getting dove by Beast Feast 35, looking for a potential dive, hitting the jet stream onto Alexin, but definitely not wanting to teleport to it. Under a tier 1 tower with 3 players right by his side. Not too healthy, though, is CAZ to defend this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Duel Mains had a miscommunication. Looked like he maybe should have gone, he being Beast Feast, for the kill out of the tier 1. CAZ now pushed underneath the tier 2 tower, but nobody there to deal damage to the objective itself. The tower still stands. CAZ licking their wounds, but Duel Mains rotation from the Hunter a little bit too late.
So 5-on-3 in the mid for a little bit. Looking like Beast Feast wants to flank on the right-hand side, finding the pull onto Overpowered and the root. The Hades ultimate coming out onto 2.
Pillar of Agony making it rain. Bradley RJ able to pick up the kill off of the assistants. BX heals and ults himself to avoid the death from the tower. Once again, just complete understanding of what these engagements will entail, with the tools at their disposal. Duel Mains know exactly what they have, and they're going to play like it.
And Duel Mains has just been managing their resources between health and mana more effectively than CAZ Esports. Not only are they healthier in the health department, but they're managing their mana more useful. So CAZ can't stay in these teamfights and throw out as many abilities as they would like. Duel Mains had a 5-on-3 advantage without any kills for about 15 to 20 seconds because there was no mana for CAZ.
Right, and that's what we saw where Duel Mains, they look at the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. CAZ Esports were just sitting on the tier 2 with nothing to do, nowhere to go. Stunwave in some trouble. He's going to dash out. There's the follow-up from the ring. Waiting for the leap from Hades. Love the patience coming out. 1, he can't heal up in the ring. And 2, he can't dash out of it if you wait for it. Big patient play coming out from Mush. And he's going to be able to put number 3 on the board for his team. Still leading CAZ Esports by about 2,000 gold.
I love the patience, like you mentioned, from Mush. And even if he didn't find the Blink ultimate after the dash, or the dash from Hades, rather, it's so easy to chase him down in that situation when the Cabrakan was using Tremors, doing so much effective damage. Odin had 2 options between the jump or the Blink. Even if the cage happened, you force the Hades jump, then you jump after the Hades and you slow him down, allowing your teammate to catch up to him.
RBX in some trouble here. He's going to be able to heal up that situation, not too big of a deal. Here's Beast Feast working with Overpowered USB, pulling him right on back. There's the Capri hug. Beast did not expect that one to land.
Jet stream connects, could potentially teleport to it, but Jiran right around the corner. Don't want to be messing around with a level 13 Cabrakan that has Mystical Mail completed. That's a lot of defenses and a lot of magical damage per second that you don't want to be dealing with if you're a squishy Susanoo.
Sunwave stands there and just sort of takes it for a while, but he'll be able to dash out no problem. Half HP for the solo lane Hades at the moment, and he'll likely be able to heal that up relatively soon, but presence from CAZ Esports in the short lane. Gonna be Gerard making the rotation, just sitting here as the jungler. Well, Bradley combines with Stunwave to make it a 2v2.
Getting a little closer to that breaking point where Duel Mains is going to start grouping up as a team and a collective unit, looking for that level 12 onto Bradley RJ to get that second relic, but try to catch. Oh, the Aphrodite has nothing really available. Even the cage comes out.
And there's Kepri from a distance. That's the combination. CAZ do exactly what they were supposed to. They trap BX, they trap him a second time, no heals allowed, and then in comes Bradley with the ultimate through the cage. Wonderful play by Duel Mains, really playing their comp to a T. I felt like earlier in the day they didn't really need to play their full comp, they just played Aphrodite. Here they're playing it with the Odin.
Oh, Stun Wave bit off a little more than he could chew. He jumped into the blue buff as he was proxying between tier 1 and tier 2. 4 members from CAZ making this rotation very timely considering Gold Fury is not up for another 45 seconds.
Yeah, that was I was talking about that being a safe point for Stunwave, the fact that he can go onto the wall. Not blindly, my friend. You don't jump through the wall and then find yourself in enemy territory. Not a good look there for Stunwave, who's had a relatively successful afternoon. 1 game of the Osiris and then 1 game of the Sun Wukong. and he was able to really just run his side of the map.
Going for a very traditional Season 0/1-esque build is Stun Wave. Going for the Warlock Sash immediately after the pen boost, trying to now finish off that Breastplate of Valor. Takes a long time in the solo lane to finish this off, but as a Hades that wants to control the team fights in the mid to late game, this is one of the best positions you could put yourself in, trying to maximize your health efficiency.
Listen, Warlock Sash is a very expensive item. You have to spend a long time stacking it, but we're in a situation where we're watching Hunters pick up Bluestone in Transcendence 1. This is the time to stack long stackable items. Go for the Warlock Sash. I love it. I think it does exactly what Hades wants to do. Bradley's going to get in trouble. Look at this. CAZ Esports set up an ambush here, but they walked into 4 players, not the pick that they wanted. And that's why Duel Mains has been successful, in my opinion, Toli. They're never alone.
Alexum was basically left alone, taking so much damage, 90% of his health to be exact, having to back. Still sitting on his 2 relics, though, fighting the pull onto 1. Bradley RJ, though, the cage coming out from Mush, trapping into Bradley falls.
And Apollo's going to take to the sky here, looking for more the defensive maneuver than the offensive maneuver. Duel Main started the Gold Fury, dropped it. Now it's CAZ's 10% for the red team. But with Stun Wave showing up, everybody from CAZ decided to let go and start looking for the kill. BX is able to find the ult on himself and to find the Aegis, but he doesn't have any more tools. There's the Pillar of Agony. Dobson picks up Beast Feast, and despite a fantastic ult out of the Hades player, it's just not enough. Overpowered USB lets him know. And Motion's the only one alive. Not gonna go for it. Tosses out the So Beautiful a little late.
Just slightly, but either way, this is what happens when one tool is missing from your belt. Bradley RJ fell very early in that encounter.
Yep.
Also didn't have time to really even use an ultimate on himself. Wanted to probably use it on one of his teammates instead. And without Khepri having his Scarab's Blessing to revive someone, having that Rising Dawn to mitigate a lot of the incoming damage from the enemy team, that team fight was just bound to fail from Duel Mains. They need BX and Bradley RJ to be alive at all times to keep everyone else alive with them.
Yeah, it was a really impressive play coming out from CAZ Esports here before they even touched the battlefield. I mean, the Odin, I think, is a big ol' duh at this point. You got a healer. I got the guy that stops you from healing. Thumbs up, right? But I think the Cabrakan choice here was fantastic. I already spoke about the Zhang Kui, but the Cabrakan, yes, he's just strong. He's a strong character. But his ability, both times that we've seen BX fall down, he's only has 1 death, but we saw him really get caught out and Khepri saved him before in the mid lane. Both that time and the time that he actually falls is off of the Cabrakan wall.
It's not just the Odin ultimate or the Cabrakan ultimate that's locking BX into place that's so successful for CAZ. It's also their itemization and choices of how they're going about. Looking at Alexum's build specifically on the Zhang Kui, Divine Ruin, and with all the damage over time from the Zhang Kui between the card or his ultimate, that's going to be a lot of anti-healing for 8 seconds. That's 40% reduced healing.
And then just by being around overpowered USB, going to lower the healing because of the Pestilence as well. So Bradley stuck in the ring, a little bit of trouble. He'll be able to dash out of there no problem. And there's an ultimate out of the jungler. Beast Feast tosses the Susano Whirlpool, or Whirlwind, into the jungle, trying to help out.
Nice little stun from Cabrakan and a Stormcutter from Beast Feast to get away from the incoming damage from Duran, recognizing the mechanics between not only his god, but the opposing jungler, making him a really great pickup. The Mush getting pulled almost out of that tier 1 tower. Tier 1 mid here from CAZ, very low.
Yeah, this time around they have the tools, and here comes Hades. Big silence into the bigger pillar. Alexum uses his beats to get out of there, and the tower's still standing. Motion's looking for the kills, not the tower itself. On to Duran right now. Mez to help himself out, but here comes Bologna. Khepri ultimate used on the Hunter. Stun Wave taking care of Duran on the backside, and the tower's still standing. More about the team fight than the objective, I suppose. I would have loved to see Crisis Motions focus on that tower, but not going to be the case.
Still not available, but the Portal Demon has been started between Beast Feast and Crisis Motions. Going to try to be leashing it any which way that they can, and then take a 3-on-4 encounter in the mid. BX with the shots from a distance, able to steal away that one with Stone Wave, but leaving BX alone in the cage.
Bradley doesn't have the ult either, but he does have the Phantom. Still stunned out as BX. Heals are coming through. There's help from the Bludgeon. An overpowered USB able to take down Arabiax. 2 deaths on the mid lane Aphrodite. Duel main still trailing by about 3,000, give or take, but definitely a much more competitive game for CAZ versus Duel mains.
I'm not sure if this was misguided or miscommunication or if intended, but between Stunwave and Bradley RJ, they both have a Phantom Relic, which means that there's no meditation here on the side of Duel mains, and that's not necessarily the worst thing because of how long the cooldown is from Phantoms, about 180 seconds or so. So you're able to still get that off every single ultimate of the Odin, but now once you do get out of that Odin ultimate, you don't have the meditation. You do have the shell though from Bradley.
You know, the meditation is just, especially with this team composition, totally, I'm not thrilled. Meditation level 1 is 35 health plus 12 times your level. So realistically, you're healing like 100, give or take, right? Listen, my Afro's gonna heal that in a couple of ticks of the doves. I want that Phantom to get me out of the ring so my Afro can heal me up with the doves.
And not just the ring, but it's also the Cabrakan ultimates coming out of Jaron. It's just too impactful here. There's 2 options between trying to lock that down. And to solve those 2 options, you have 2 Phantoms, one from Stunwave, one from Bradley RJ. It's a nice methodical mindset between these 2 players.
And again, it's a little bit, like you said, meditation is kind of the go-to. But I think this is the more intelligent choice here. And duel mains are, a lot of times you see from the lower end teams, duel mains coming from the challenger circuit, an inability, or rather no desire to play what they think is correct, because you get peer pressured almost into playing what is quote unquote correct.
That's the difference of tiers between wherever you are. If you're in the console league, if you're in the SPL, you're looking for ways to win games and not necessarily copy cookie cutter strategies between, like, whatever works for one team might not necessarily always work out for you. So this strategy deployed by duel mains throughout the whole day has been successful thus far, despite not getting any gold furies, losing both of them so far at the 23-minute mark. They're holding on for dear life against CAZ, only down about 4,000 gold, about 3,500 or so. And once these team fights start rolling around
Jaron.
like this, that's when they start taking advantage.
Oh, Jaron, he got so stuck. But Mush provides help with the ring. That's a win for duel mains right there. As every time that Odin ring goes down and somebody doesn't die, duel mains is throwing a party. Here comes everybody on the side of duel mains understanding that the threat is low. Ultimate out of Susano finds a knockup. Pulling back is Alexum. He's gonna be gold. You can't CC him. He gets the kill, but he's killed right afterwards. 1 for 1. Here's help underneath the tower. BX needs to find a target, does so, heals up the jungler. There's going to be the Aegis stopping some of the healing, but more importantly, stopping some of the damage incoming from CAZ. Here's going to be Jaron looking for the stun, finds the ultimate instead. Here's the Pillar of Agony, and help for Bradley. He ults himself. The damage going the way of CAZ Esports. BX helps out his team just a little bit. 1 for 1, Hunter for mid.
And here comes the healing from Arabiax, not really afraid of anything, setting up the Storm Kata for Beast Feast to go in, but still going aggressive is Mush, teleporting into that jet stream, still not able to find a kill, but overall, a 1 for 1. Hunter for the mid, but with all the sustain from Arabiax, there's just no stopping duel mains to take your pick of the litter between the tier 1 and duo or that Gold Fury.
Right, exactly, and this is exactly what they're going to look for. It'll be the Gold Fury, excuse me, picking up my notes here. It'll be the Gold Fury. We're going to pause the game right quick. Duel mains versus CAZ Esports. CAZ has the lead, but right now it feels like duel mains has the momentum. We're seeing the point in the game where the composition really starts to get wind beneath its wings and starts to fly on the back of that Khepri and that Aphrodite.
Especially if they can group up together and catch unexpected victims. We saw Jerome just waiting for a gank, but it was actually him on the Cabrakan that was being the line of sight gank for the rest of the members of duel mains. And as long as they stick together like that, they force somebody out of the fight, then they have a 5-on-4 for a little bit, which is why they were winning it up until Jerome came back on the Cabrakan.
Exactly.
But then the sustain from Arabiax every single time, non-stop, so impactful for his teammates.
Let's get right back to it. As we said, the momentum firmly in the grasp of duel mains' hands. As we head back to the battlefield, we'll see what their choice was. It will be Gold Fury. The old-fashioned stuff after the stuff, Toli. I don't know if I like this Apollo ultimate, but he's going to come down and join the team.
Just in case. You never really know who might be lingering around the corner. If you use that ultimate for the damage, that could be the one extra tick of damage needed just to secure the Gold Fury right before somebody comes around. Because don't forget, Mush has a lot of damage.
True.
With that Bird Bomb combination, despite being all tanky, the base damage alone from Odin is good enough to allow yourself to go for that kind of option.
You know, you also, not for nothing, Tully, you also provide the, what I always call the satellite ult by way of Thor or Ratatasker, where you take to the sky and you can kind of see where everything's at. The Apollo also doing that. Yeah, he's going to ult back to the team and provide that damage, but also on his way. Also, you guys can't see me, I'm like looking around. But, you know, he knows that nobody's coming, so safe and sound. Problem is he doesn't have that option here, but he's just dealing the damage anyway.
I saw what he was trying to do. He tried to time the dash as the Odin cage.
I'll give it to him.
1 second too late there, but getting a tier 1 successfully on his lonesome.
Yeah.
A nice attempt by Mush to hold on a little longer, but you're not going to stop an Apollo getting a tier 1 at the end of the day.
And we spoke about that as soon as we loaded in the game. I was like, hey man, meta or not, I'll always like this Apollo. Once he gets level 7, level 8, that's so beautiful, starts clearing the way with a couple of basics, and you're really able to, like, do it. And then, that's what Apollo does. He chews through your towers, and then if he does get in trouble, he'll just ult out of jail, no big deal. Portal Demon started up by dual mains here, down to about 25% HP. The ultimate and a Beast Feast going to be popped over. There's a jump over the wall, not going to be successful. Duran drops his ult and Alexum trapping him in the cage. One for the mid lane, Zhang Kui. Bradley in trouble, a lot of trouble. Able to ult himself out of jail. BX, however, falls down. Dobson with the kill. Totally, that's the turnaround. That team fight is gone without BX.
Overcommitment on just a Portal Demon. I like the idea between flirting with the Portal Demon. You may be baited, reset it to the enemy team constantly back and forth. Get them in an awkward position and then force the team fight, but committing the Typhoon to it, there weren't many escape options. Both Phantoms weren't used for the Cabrakan ultimate, and that just allowed for a very easy clean pick out of CAZ.
There's the Fire Giant going the way of CAZ Esports, and by himself, his stun wave on the Hades. He's gonna get followed! Oh, get read like a book! Oh, that was so much fun to watch. He goes under, and Odin goes over, and then he gets sent down back under to the underworld.
This is kind of like a sandwich being
so
made, an
fun.
Odin Hades sandwich back to the underworld for a stun wave, getting a tier 2 tower in the soul lane after the Fire Giant. CAZ Esports are doing a good job taking advantage of the slight misposition of dual mains.
There is nothing more satisfying, playing or watching, than a nice, cold read. You thought I was going somewhere else. But a nice, cold read, man, just... That Odin jumped before Hades jumps, understanding that's the only exit for stun wave. It just feels so good when you... Yes, I know what you were thinking. And when you see it go down, it's just as exciting to me. That's part of what makes Smite for me, because the whole like all skill shot thing. If I read that you're going right instead of left, and I shoot right, and you walk into it, that's one of the best feelings.
Mind games are very important in Smite. There was one time when I was playing Bakasura against a Ymir, and he was chasing me in the jungle. He threw up the wall, and I knew he had blink. So even if I jumped over the wall, he was going to blink after me. So what I did was I walked up to the wall, jumped in place, he blinked past me, and then I just went the other way anyway. So mind games are very fun, no matter what. If you're playing watching, you can truly appreciate the small mechanical mindsets of these players.
Yeah, that's the most fun for me is seeing that, because, you know, mechanics are one thing, but when you can outsmart and outthink your opponents, that's really what's fun to me. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that. Sure, micro in that one play for our Odin player Mush over here, but macro with the way dual mains have drafted their composition, understanding that they're going to try and outsmart CAZ, and CAZ here is kind of brawn versus brains. You got Duran just smashing people. You got Odin just jumping on people. And dual mains are kind of sitting there like, all right, we have to overlap our ultimates, and we got to walk away, and we got to backstep. So it's a lot of thought going into what dual mains is trying to execute, and I respect what they've been bringing. 6K down, defending on their left side, Phoenix. CAZ Esports coming through with the Fire Giant buff. Odin Ring and Duran ult used nice and early. That's a positive for dual mains here. Half HP on the Phoenix. Down it's going to go here as CAZ Esports keeps the target in mind. But Totally, what's happening on the right side of the map?
Right side, motion, still split pushing. Red buff on the Apollo. Finally, minions have entered, so that's going to allow the Phoenix to go down even faster. Alexum is actually the first victim with the Fire Giant.
1 HP on the mid lane. Aphrodite, she finally falls. Overpowered gets the kill on the Arabiax. Back to the fight comes Motions. He's gonna dash forward, gets the Phoenix. It's an even Phoenix trade here, folks. So it's all good if you're rooting for dual mates. Stun Wave is gonna turn this around, but Mush makes it happen. 2 for 2. CAZ Esports has a fantastic push, but it looks like the third's gonna fall down. Motions. There it is, making the plays.
They're not done yet. They found 3. They want 4. Onto the Bologna. Overpowered USB with the Scourge. Not gonna matter. Bradley RJ credited with that one, but left Phoenix for right Phoenix with 4 members dead for a good amount of time. CAZ needs to be careful about how they engage even further. Dual Means can easily push down, but it looks like they're gonna go for the mid lane while they're gonna have Stun Wave on the Hades defending the left.
CAZ Esports with a Fire Giant buff, 6,000 gold up.
Not enough.
End that fight, 3,000 gold up.
And they were 5-on-4, considering Crystal Motions was right lane, and Alexum was the first one picked off.
And that's exciting for dual mains because they cut the 6K lead in half while defending their own base. That's not something that a lot of teams can really put on their superlative list. And right here, Motions. It's been exciting. Like I said, Arabiax is kind of the... You remember No Doubt, the band from the 90s?
Oh, I love Gwen Stefani.
So, dual mains right now, Arabiax is Gwen Stefani. Everybody's looking at her. But really, Trey Cool in the back, just making the drum beats go on, that's Motions right now. He's keeping the game together, making sure the objectives are happening. And you know the bass player that you can't remember the name of? That's what's going on with Beast Feast. He's still chugging along, making sure that the song and the album is working out together. But everybody looking at Arabiax because he's a little bit different. Picking the Aphrodite, picking the Hell, doing something a little bit crazy. But it's all about the unit, and that's what I'm really liking.
And who's the guy that made Gwen Stefani make the song Don't Speak?
Oh my god, oh man. I could not recall. I was good with that analogy until you threw me under the bus. Oh man. I had fun with that one, but that's what I'm seeing out of dual mains. Is we're seeing Arabiax, who we've seen before. Arabiax has played in the console scene once upon a time. His name should be kind of slightly familiar because that's kind of where he was at. The rest of the 4 players, though, kind of coming out of nowhere. And I like to see this new talent. Half HP on the Fire Giant, Toli, and CAZ Esports, they're going for it.
It's a lot of damage onto Jerome, but he's left alone. He gets pulled in by the Abduct. Kepri finding the root, a lot of damage to the Fire Giant, sitting at 1,600 health. Jerome falling, the Petrify doing a lot of
Motions
damage.
on
Typhoon comes out. Second member dead for CAZ.
And Motions on the backside, able to deal out some damage. OP USB takes out Arabiax, one of the cornerstones of this dual mains team fight, but it's still a 1 for 2. Make that a 1 for 3. As Motions takes down Alexum, 2 players in the back end.
He's ending! He's gonna end the game! Crystal Motions, he wants to end it! Odin falls down, there's only 1 member alive. Overpowered USB has to defend, but he's nowhere inside. He's getting chased down by Bradley RJ. What a play by Crystal Motions!
He's doing it by himself! We're not aiming for the truck! 17 to 13! CAZ Esports goes right for it. No, he's gonna die! Totally!
He got it at the last hit!
He did it!
He actually